Hey, good morning, world. How's everybody out there in YouTube land this morning? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see everybody coming in. Well, whoever people do come in. Early morning, usually not a lot of people come into the Good Morning World chats, but they do watch them during the day. So for those of you guys who are going to watch this later on, good morning, welcome. Glad to see you here. Today, I am knocking out a few of the last minute jobs, getting ready to leave here. Hopefully, I will hear from the generator repair shop and micro center today on my generator and my laptop. I'm hoping to pick them up tomorrow or maybe the next day at the latest. Got a weather window right now for leaving here and heading south, and it's a door that's kind of closing on me, and so I'm kind of motivated to try to get going as quick as I can here, even if some of my jobs have to wait until I am, I don't know, in Annapolis to do them or whatever. I don't know what else to say. So, but I have a bit of an odd situation going on. Not really odd, just sort of anomalous. I am the biggest problem that I face, or the first problem, not the biggest problem. The first problem I face as I leave Port Washington and I head south towards New Jersey is getting through an area known as Hell's Gate in New York. That's underneath the bridges over on the east side. Morning, Billy. How you doing? Getting through the bridges. Hey, John Dolan. How you doing? Getting through the bridges over on the east side of New York City and trying to make my way south towards New Jersey. Well, there's a real narrow area over on the East River between Manhattan and Brooklyn, and the tides go ripping through there. Now, my boat, at best, does 5 knots under power. But when you've got a tide coming against you that's doing 4 knots, well, you don't make much headway, And I kind of ran into that coming here. I ended up getting into the East River earlier. Hey, Chief, how you doing? Than expected, and really, it took me forever to slowly chug along and make any headway. And in fact, no sooner did I finally get through the end of Hellgate after taking, I don't know, like 3 hours of motoring to get through it. Then the tide finally changed. So I don't want to repeat that mistake. And hey, Danny Panetta, what's up, man? So I'm trying to figure out the ideal time to leave here so that I could be through Hellgate on the outgoing tide, which will carry my boat straight in a matter of minutes, let alone hours. So literally getting flushed out of Long Island Sound. But here's where the times get sort of interesting. So, hey, Pilot, how you doing, man? If I were to leave today, if I were to have left this morning, morning, Pilot, high tide would have been at 6:25 this morning, 6:25 a.m. here in Port Washington. 15 miles away, because that's all we're talking about, 15 miles away is the Queensboro Bridge on the East River of Manhattan. High tide at the Queensboro Bridge today is at 5:16 a.m. So about an hour earlier than it is for me here in Port Washington, 15 miles away. 5:16 a.m. there, 6:25 a.m. here. So I figured if I left here at, say, 5 a.m. my time, I would be leaving on basically the incoming tide, but it takes me about an hour or so to get up to staged in an area where I'm above Hellgate going through into the Narrows. High tide will have already come and gone there in the Narrows. The tide will be going out, which is what I'm looking for, and I would be able to zip right on out through the canal had I left today, this morning. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for my computer, I'm waiting for the generator. I have a couple projects I wanted to button up before I leave here. But time and tide waits for no man. So I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool to leave on September 11th, 9/11. It would, to me, that would be a good day to go past New York City to tip my hat and show a little respect for those people that that lost their lives at 9/11. So I thought, man, 9/11 would be a cool day to be going back past New York City again. Well, here's the thing. On 9/11, high tide here in Port Washington is at 1:09 a.m. So really early in the morning. And then again, high tide in at the Queensboro Bridge in Manhattan is at 11:25 a.m. Okay. So obviously what's happened is we've gone through a transition on the tides. The previous night on 9/10, on September 10th at 11 p.m. is the high tide. But why is it that it went from 11 p.m. so there's like a 2-hour time difference between the high tides on September 11th and only an hour and 20-minute time difference between the tides today? And so I just found that to be kind of odd. It's like the gap is changing. You would think those would be the same incrementally all along the way, but there seems to be a change there. And then the problem is if I leave on 9/11, the tide, it would be 1:09 a.m. That's just not going to work for me, you know. And then the next tide isn't until the afternoon, and that's way too late in the day to be heading out to get to where I need to get to, which is, you know, over there on New Jersey coast. It's going to take me about 8 hours, and so I can't leave that late in the day. So I'm in a bit of a quandary, actually. I'm in a bit of a quandary over what to do. I really am. I'm looking at the tides, the tide charts for, and you know, the big thing for me is trying to get through Hellgate. Trying to get through Hellgate is going to be a problem. I have to hit the top of Hellgate about right at high tide, at slack water, so I can head on out. So why is this important? Pilot, there's a section of water between me and New Jersey called Hellgate along the east side of New York City, where if I hit it at the wrong time of day, I'm just not going to be able to get through. The tide will be so severe that my boat doesn't have enough power to push itself against that tide, which means I would end up spending, you know, 4 or 5 hours trying to cover the distance of about a mile, as opposed to blowing right through it in 15 minutes if I catch the tide right. So it does make a huge difference in this particular body of water. You're just not going to be able to power against that tide. So yeah, Billy Boy's right. I'd be going backwards. It would just blow me back here in Long Island Sound. I would turn my bow into it and be motoring and motoring and motoring, full throttle, pouring the juices to it, and not going anywhere. I mean, literally, I had that experience when I came past New York City coming here into Port Washington. I made great time going down the west side of Manhattan, coming from Yonkers, that I got around the corner and started heading up the East River way too early. So, and underpowered boats have sank there as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of problems. You know, you can get, I mean, there's rocks on both sides. You can get dashed on rocks. You can have all kinds of problems. So, if he hits it right, the barely any motor. Yeah, that's right. Hey, biker, how you doing, man? 5 a.m. here in Alaska. I've been missing your live cast. I have a son I pick up at 4 every day, which is 7 there. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cliff. Trying to come up with a more steady time for the morning live streams. Andy over on the West Coast asked me to do them a little later in the morning. I try not to do them too late because I try to get to my stuff, my jobs for the day, you know. Actually, I've already been getting to my jobs and taking a break and doing a live stream now. So I like to get up early and get stuff done before it gets hot out. And it's going to be hot already. It's 84 degrees here on the boat. It's already going to be going up. I think they're talking about 94 degrees today. And there's zero breeze outside. I mean, I've got a fan on me right now, but there's nothing. So, and I did just run the engine for 2 hours, so it kind of heated the boat up a little bit. But I ran the engine for 2 hours to build up my batteries, so I could run the fan today. It's what you had to do. You got to charge up the battery bank. So, and I was sort of disappointed. I ran it for almost 2 full hours, and it charged up the battery, but it didn't bring it back to 100%. So, I guess I really need to get the generator back here and get the battery charger on it, or start the engine and just go for an 8-hour motor someplace, and that would really that would do it. That would put me back up where I need to be. So yeah, so I'm kind of in a dilemma. I'm kind of in a dilemma time-wise. You know, when you're on a small boat like mine, doesn't have a lot of power, you really got to hold on, man. I got to close the hatch. There we go. I had to get the sun out of my eyes. When you have a boat like mine that doesn't have a lot of power, you really got to be watching this the current flow. I understand, you know, there's the same kind of issues with running down the intercoastal waterway, especially up here at the north end where there's pretty good sized tides. The further south we go, the less tide there is. On the equator, there's hardly any tide action really at all in some places. In some places, there's quite a bit actually. So I know up in Alaska, we had huge tides. Huge tides. I mean, you know, 12, 14, 16 foot tides. So, you know, you go to the marina and if it's low tide, man, you're doing a hell of a downhill run to get down to the dock. And then when it comes up to high tide, you know, or you're trying to leave the dock during low tide, you got to be like a billy goat climbing up the ramp. I mean, it's like that, you know. Anyhow, just got a notification. So I'm kind of in a dilemma over what to do. I mean, I'm almost hoping that I get the generator and the computer back very quickly. 30-foot tides here in Alaska from low to high. Yeah, in some areas, Cliff, you're right. Yeah, I was talking about Seward where I kept my boat. They were usually about 16, 17 foot tides there. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I was planning on staying here and trying to get some more work done, but if I wait until September 11th, the tide's going to be against me. I have an 8-hour run to get over to New Jersey, which is the only good logical first night stop after I leave Port Washington, according to active captain and whatever. That's the best place for my first night stop. So I don't know. I don't know if my computer and my generator both get fixed today or tomorrow and I can pick them up. It might behoove me to get the hell out of Dodge while the tide's right for me. If I wait, I may have to wait as much as 2 weeks before I get the ideal tide schedule so that I can get over to Cape May, New Jersey in 8 hours. Because that's what it is. It's going to be about an 8-hour run if the tide is with me. If not, I could spend 6 hours just trying to push my way through Hellgate, and that's just crazy. You know, that's just crazy. That's just overheating the engine and burning a lot of gas. It's just not necessary. So I don't know, kids. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to do. I even drew a little map here trying to figure things out. I mean, you know, here's Long Island, here's Manhattan. Here's where I'm at in Port Washington. Here's the Queensboro Bridge just 15 miles away. But there's this really narrow, and it doesn't show on my little drawing quite as narrow as it really is. It's really narrow. There's a real narrow little current, a little area. I mean, you know, you figure at its widest, Long Island Sound is, you know, a mile or so across, maybe more than that. 5 miles maybe across Long Island Sound, maybe more than that even. And all of that funnels down through an area that's not more than 500 feet wide. So there's a lot of flow. There's a lot of water flow spilling through there. That's why they call it Hellgate. There's whirlpools. It's just a nasty bit of water. So that's I'm looking at the tide charts right now, and I'd run as soon as you get the stuff back. Yeah, Billy, that's kind of what I'm afraid of. Because if I wait too long, I won't be able to make it to Annapolis in time for the boat show. You know, well, I don't know. If I left here on the 15th or so, but even on the 15th, I don't think I'm going to have the tide. The tide's still going to be like 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's just not the right time for me. I'm not going to try. I am not going to try doing Hellgate in the dark. I'm just not going to do that. That would be insane. That would be insane. It's a pretty rough piece of water, so... I think you're under the problem with the low viscosity oil. I'm sure the sooting in the exhaust will slow down. Yeah, Cliff, I agree with that completely. Yeah, that is. I think Doug was correct with that. That the 40 weight oil will fix that problem. Although I tell you right now, you know, I've got 1540, which is not a real light viscosity. I'm not like I'm running 5 or 10W. I'm running 1540 right now. And I noticed it's, you know, it puts up a little smoke, but it's not sooting up as bad as it was when I had the 5W40 in there. But yeah, I think going straight to a 40 weight will probably improve that even further to the point where maybe it won't even be sooting up at all. You know, it may be just what the old ferryman needs. You know, just almost practically gear oil in there. So. Anyhow, so that's kind of my dilemma this morning, is looking at the tide. Ideally, I mean, almost really today would have been ideal. I should have gotten up and left today at 6 a.m. Had I gotten up and left today at like 5:30, 6 a.m., I would have gone through Hellgate as the tide was going out, and it would have blown me right through there. But the two the two dates that I'm looking at, obviously, or two locations, is, you know, the Port Washington where I'm at now and what the tide is here, versus the Queensboro Bridge, which is at the very south end of Hell's Gate. So that's, you know, the opposite of those two, and Hell's Gate's kind of in the middle, so it's going to be somewhere between that. So like today, high tide at Queensboro Bridge was at 5:16 a.m. High tide here where I'm at is at 6:25. So, you know, if I'd left here right at 6 o'clock, that would have been the high tide for right in the middle between those two. So, figuring on about 2 hours. If I wait till the 11th, then high tide for me is going to be at 1 a.m. or it's going to be at 11 p.m. down at the Queensboro Bridge, which means midnight would be the ideal tide to be going out on. And I'm just not going to leave at midnight. So, and that's only a week from now. You know, that's only a week from now. So it goes from what is the ideal time, which was 6:25 a.m. to midnight, 6 hours later. So, and that's in a week. So I'd have to wait a whole nother week after that, which would be putting me down around the 18th or 19th of September. So I don't know, kids. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I got to think on this a little bit. So. Plus, you have the lights to fix still. Yep, I do have the lights to fix still. All the lights aren't as big a deal as some of the other projects I want. Well, actually, not really. None of the projects that I have right now are anything catastrophic, guys. You know, I mean, I've gone this far without the second dinghy. If I don't get it finished right now, then it can be weighted just to be safe and legal. I only need the lights if I'm running at night, guys. And I don't plan on running at night, so it won't be much of an issue. So, just be safe and legal, yep. Let's see, John Williams. Hey, John. Are you producing a video showing how you're collecting and disposing of the residue and scraps from the dirty sanding and repairs in an environmentally responsible manner? Am I producing a video specifically about that? No, but it is shown in videos that I'm doing. So far there hasn't been any scraps, but what I do with the dust is I vacuum it up with a shop vac, and then that gets bagged up, and then that gets hauled to you know, refuse containers. Any scraps also go into the garbage and gets hauled to refuse containers. That's about as environmentally friendly as I can figure a way of doing it right now. There's really not much in the way of recycling. And the only scraps that I'm ending up with is, you know, some of the PVC strips that I put off the dinghy. So if that's what you're referring to, John. Would Towboat US help? Would Towboat, I don't understand, how would Towboat help? They would help tow me, but I don't need towed. Travel when you want, not when others want you to leave. Yeah, well, I understand that, John. Yeah, I understand that. I'm certainly going to. I'm not in any particular, I mean, I'm not being pressured by, you know, trolls or whatever to have to leave early. I'm being pressured by the wind and the tide, you know. I'm looking at the weather window. It's okay, it's not just Hellgate that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at, once I get through Hellgate, what's the weather patterns going to be going down the coast along New Jersey. Even though there's a tropical storm kind of heading this way, by the time that storm gets here, I'll be safely up in the CNL Canal area. You know, I'll be way up inside the Chesapeake at that point. So, yeah, so it's a combination of things that I need to look at in trying to determine what date I should leave here. Not just the tide getting through Hellgate, that's a very big concern. But then what's my weather pattern going to be as I'm offshore? Now, once I get into, you know, Delaware Bay and into the Chesapeake and stuff, and then especially into the intercoastal waterway, weather becomes not an issue anymore. So, sorry about the brightness here, guys. The boat's turned around, and all of a sudden I got a lot of bright sun on me. You know, then it's really not so much the weather. Once I get into the ICW, it becomes almost inconsequential, much like it was going down the Erie Canal. It's getting around offshore, around New Jersey, that's the problem, weather-wise. So I gotta always check that out as well. So, come on, boat, spin around. There's no wind out there, so the boat's just barely moving around right now. Really, really lazy day here. So, yes, I don't know. That, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get moving again. I've been sitting here and watching a lot of boats motoring out of the bay this morning. I had my breakfast cereal. I sat up in the cockpit this morning and was eating my breakfast, and I was watching a couple boats pull the hook and head out, you know, and I was thinking to myself, man, they're leaving at just the right time. They were out pulling the hook at 6 o'clock this morning, and you know, they were going to go head through Hellgate, and they were just right on time, right on schedule, leaving at just the perfect moment. And to be honest with you guys, I was a little jealous. The green monster came out at me. I was like, damn, I wish I was heading out. I want to get going, man. I want to get going. So, yeah. But no, John, to answer your question, no, I don't feel like I'm being pressured by anybody to have to go on any other schedule. No, not at all. One thing I was thinking about that happened the other day, some clown sent me an email, and you know, but didn't have any real name on it, just sent an email, and I get these all the time from different people from time to time, and I get these comments, and the one guy's comment was, well, all we ever see you do is sit on your boat and talk to the camera. You never show anything. Well, you know, guys, when I came down the Erie Canal, I showed stuff every day. I mean, sometimes I'd make 4 or 5 live streams a day showing you guys cool stuff that I was seeing along the way. That was, you know, producing content of me traveling. Right now, I'm basically, you know, back to doing a in the water refit, trying to get work done to the boat. There's nothing exciting about any of this. Frankly, it's kind of drudgery. To be honest with you, it kind of sucks. You know, I don't enjoy working on the damn boat. So I kind of like to get going again, but, you know, I find it funny that these people complain about something like that, and they clearly don't understand that, you know, sometimes you just got to stop and fix stuff, you know. You got to work on stuff. So it's going to get hot today. It's going to hit 94 today, they said, 94, 95, something like that. It's 85 right now this morning. I do have my dive skin and my free diving gear all pulled out with my bottom scraper and my brush and all that. So today is going to be bottom cleaning day. That way, if I do get the generator and the computer back tomorrow or the next day, I can buzz on out of here. So yeah, today I'm definitely going to get the hull clean and get it ready to go. So with the dinghy on deck, I wouldn't go for that. Well, let me see what I'm missing here in the chat. Or fog, okay. Go for a swim, yep, definitely. Will you be able to sail with the dinghy on deck? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the dinghy, where the dinghy is located on the deck doesn't interfere with anything at all. So, come help you get stuff fixed up and ready to go. Get you to Florida if you want help. Oh, Cliff, man, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I really, you know, I'm looking at my list of jobs that I have to get done. I could probably knock out all of, if I got highly motivated today and tomorrow, I could knock out all those jobs. I could get all of that stuff done today and tomorrow, you know. I've got the alternator done. I'm going to clean the bottom today. I've got the laundry done. I've got the engine oil straightened out. Um, I'm getting the generator and the computer fixed. I got to work on the dinghy. That's going to be the long-term project. I'm going to install the USB plugs. I'm going to hook up the old depth sounder. And I'm going to clean the bottom today. And I'm going to, once I get the generator back, I'm going to grind the sharp edges off of the ladder so I don't have that problem happen again. And then that's all my jobs. I mean, I really don't have that much to do, so I should be able to knock it all out here pretty quickly. But I appreciate the offer, Cliff. I really do. Yep, I am going to get the bottom cleaned. I'm going to work on that today. With the dinghy on deck, I wouldn't go for that. Yeah, Dick, the dinghy on deck's not interfering with me at all. It really, I mean, aside from the fact that I use the mainsail halyard to lift it and set it up on deck, it's in a good, tight, out-of-the-way spot that really doesn't interfere with my ability to get around the deck or do anything. So I think it's fine right where it's at. Reply to Adam. Did I miss somebody? Adam, will be able to sail, yes, with the dinghy on the deck, yes. Okay, I did respond to him. I was thinking GPS, depth finder, and windlass. Oh, well, yes, it would be great to get all of those things done. It would be great, but, you know, my resources are kind of tight, Cliff. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I haven't sent you postage money to pay for those things to get mailed to me yet. I just don't have the funds, and so I'm gonna have to wait on some of those things, you know. My old GPS, or the old depth finder, I can get the old depth finder. I mean, it does power on and it does display. There's just a whole bunch of lines like this moving back and forth across it. But you know, you can make it out. It's just very difficult to see, especially in bright sunlight. But I think I'm just going to have to go with it just the way it is. So, and I don't really have the funds right now to add or figure out a new transducer, which is going to be the problem with that. The windlass, it would be nice to go ahead and mount that. But the fact is, I can pull my anchor by hand just the way it is. It's not ideal. It would be lovely to have more chain on here, but I think I don't really need the chain until I get down into the coral reef and stuff, and so I'll deal with that once I get down there. So you'd be bringing it. Yeah, I understand that, man, but you need to save your funds, man. You've been tapping yourself out. So 4 different apps, 80 to 83 as of now in Mineola. 80 to 83. Yeah, I've got 85 here on the boat right now, Danny. Yeah, Cliff, I appreciate that. I tell you what, Cliff, why don't you hang out on that idea for a little bit? Let me get to Annapolis, and let's revisit that in Annapolis. Maybe after the Annapolis boat show, you could fly. Maybe you could fly out and be there for the Annapolis boat show. You could hang out on the boat with me. So let's think about that. Hey, Tom Travis, how you doing? Good morning. The boom visibility. Actually, Dick, where I drive the boat, I sit up on an ice chest back in the cockpit so I can see clear over the top of the dinghy, and the dinghy is actually underneath the boom. The boom would slide right out over the top of it. It does not interfere with it. So, thank you, Billy. Yeah, the windlass would be nice to have. Absolutely. I would take Sealy's offer. That's much more valuable than the boat show. I love to go too, but some things aren't realistic in my budget. Yeah. I don't know. I got to think about it. You get the negative and positive wire with you for the windows. Yes, I do have all the wire that you sent, Cliff. I do have all of that stuff here. It's actually in a box right here in the head. Yep, I do. I don't know. My concern is that we did that. I'm gonna have to think about it. Let me think on it for a day. Let's go walk the pup. There you go. No funds haven't been researched. Haven't researched Annapolis enough to know how much the tickets are, much less all the other costs. Yeah, it's actually not that expensive of a show. It really Annapolis isn't all that bad. I've found a good spot where I can anchor out right near the show in a nice little cove that's where I could take my other dinghy, my slat floor dinghy, which isn't ideal, but I could use that to get up into a bay there really close by. That would give me a short half-mile walk to a grocery store, so I could provision and that kind of stuff. We can do it later, not a problem. Just been thinking about it. Okay. You know, the thing of it is, though, it would be good for you to be able to come. It would be probably easier for you to get a flight into New York than it would be to get a flight into Annapolis. But, I think tickets are $35. Hey, 9mm James, how you doing? Yeah, I think that's the pass, the three-day ticket. I think is $35. But what I'm working on right now, guys, is I applied for a press pass from the Annapolis Boat Show, being a YouTube creator, and I'm waiting for confirmation that they're just going to give me a press pass. If they give me a press pass, then I don't pay for any tickets. I get to go to the show for free. So we'll see, but. Anyhow, kids, I'm going to go ahead and jump off this here. I want to get to these projects before it starts getting much hotter. I got to get my drill out and drill. First thing I'm going to be doing is installing these USB plugs and getting that in place. So anchorages will fill up super quick. Yeah, Truth Finder, that's kind of why I was thinking about leaving early. I want to get there so I'm there, you know, a week or two before the show. That way I would have first choice of some of the better anchoring spots. Because you're right, it will fill up. So. Looks like ADF weather is turning for the worse. Yep. Yeah, there's a couple storms coming across the Atlantic right now. And there's another concern, you know, the longer I wait, the more I'm going to get hit by storms. Am I better off being here in Port Washington on the North Shore of Long Island for a storm? Or am I better off being up in, you know, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. You know, what's that, the B&O Canal, the C&O Canal, whatever they call it. That area there is really well protected. Really well protected. So certainly better protection than where I'm at here. In some ways. In some ways it's not. I mean, it's really well protected, but there's not like big mountains or hills or anything. It's all a lot of grassland and stuff. So, I don't know. A lot of decisions I got to make here very quickly in the next couple of days. But today, right now, I'm going to go ahead and install the old depth finder. I'm going to install the USB plugs, get that done. 2-day combo ticket, $31. Thank you, Billy. And I'm going to get the bottom cleaned. I'm also going to set the patch in the dinghy today. I'm going to patch the hole today. I'm going to mix up a little bit of this 2-part epoxy and cut a piece of material and get the inside, at least the inside patch done today. It's going to have an inside patch and an outside patch. But I'm trying to get, actually I probably should glue them at the same time. What I don't have is some good clamps. I got a couple pieces of 2x4. I'm going to lay on one clamp, the thing on the inside. You never know, just ensure you're safe. Thank you, Dick. Yeah, I'll be safe. Maybe, you know, you're always at risk, but sorry to be honest, I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Let's just think Bahamas and accept offers and help to get there. Yeah, Adam, I understand that, and I understand Cliff's willingness to come out and help, and having the windlass would be a great asset to have, but I really don't need the asset until I get south where I'm in Coral. Right now, I don't have the funds to buy the chain to make the windlass really feasible. You know, the 200 feet of chain for that windlass is going to be $800, $900 investment. And without that chain, then windlass really becomes superfluous. You know, I can pull up my road with my 20 feet of chain on it by hand without any difficulty. I could add 20 or 30 feet of chain onto my existing chain, and it yeah, I understand it works without the chain. I understand that, Cliff. Yeah, there's a drum for wrapping the road around so it can pull it up that way. I also would then need to put a anchor roller out on the bow. That's another couple $100. So you know, it'll work either way. I understand that. So it's a great tool, and I would love to have one on board. Don't get me wrong. I would love to have one on board. But I have to be careful, because if I bring that on board right now, then I'm going to want to put on a roller furler, that, you know, a bow roller, and then I'm going to want to go to chain, and you know, and so then there's hundreds of dollars more stuff I need to spend. Right now, I don't know how much money it's going to cost me to get my laptop and my generator fixed, and you know, I've got like $250 to my name right now, so I got to be really careful with what I get into. So okay, ducks. Oh, okay, Dick. Thank you very much, Dick. That was weird. Okay. Oh no, I didn't get to see the amount. Okay. Dick Harbert, just thank you, Dick. Appreciate that, man. Very nice of you to do that, sir. Thank you. That helps. That definitely helps. After the boat show, these videos will get a lot of views. Yeah, James, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to shoot a series of videos at the boat show that I can incorporate one in each one of my videos coming out afterwards, called Founded at the Boat Show. If you go and you watch the video, my intro video on my channel, it shows a section in there called Founded at the Boat Show, where I'm going to try to do a highlight on a specific product that would be of interest to me or interest to cruisers. And I'm going to try to shoot like, you know, 20 or 30 of those while I'm at the Annapolis Boat Show, and have those all in the can that I can then edit together. So every time I do a regular video, I can have a section called Founded at the Boat Show to jump to. So I can bring the old one I've got. The bow roller is not perfect, but will work. Cliff, let me email you after the live stream, okay? I will email you just a little bit after the live stream. Weight's only dependent on depth. The weight is only dependent on the depth. You're talking about pulling up the chain, and yes, I agree. Regardless of the win list, you have too many projects going to go to Annapolis and waste $100 a day. Adam, how do you figure I would waste $100 a day? I don't get that. I would be anchoring out, and if I get a press pass, admission is free. It costs me nothing. So I don't get how you figure that's going to cost me $100 a day. I'm not staying in a motel. I'm not renting a car. I'm going to be on my boat, literally 2 bays around the corner from the boat show, and be able to dinghy back and forth. But I'm hoping by the time the boat show starts, I'll have this rib fixed. I'll have it all finished and glued up. Whether I glue it up here in Port Washington or whether I glue it up there in Annapolis really doesn't matter to me. I just want to have it glued together and working by the time I get there. I hope you won't see that every day. No, I agree. I agree. I'm because you were buying drinks for all of it. Oh no, I'm not, Billy. Oh no, I'm not. The hooch is pretty much run out, guys. I kid you not. I've got like okay. No, I have not heard what that, man. In the situation you're in, you must budget better. Oh, yes, Adam. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah,